Hello, buddy, and welcome back to the Up the Guts podcast. And it is the end. We have just witnessed Gav round, and geez, isn't it come such a good moment in the footy calendar? Obviously, always having it at the start of the season, but the energy just amps up a little. As I've mentioned last time, I would love to be able to experience my own Gav round very shortly. In the few years to come, but it just looks like an absolute atmosphere. Crowds turned up. We get to not only play the Adelaide Oval, but we get to go see some of the other grounds like the Norwood Oval, the Barossa Park, that you'd only really would see if you followed a Sandful. So it was really good to see. We had obviously some key performances, which we'll touch over in our round review. Then we'll also go through the Supercoach. DPPs have been released for the Supercoach for anyone that's a real big Supercoach fan. And then we'll also go over how we went with our tips. Now, as you saw last week, and I got some good responses, we will be doing 2 episodes a week from now on, where we will do the review of the round and then the preview of the round. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. By the looks of it, you guys did. So I'm going to continue doing that for the whole season. And as always, as we have brought in this year, it's the rankings for the season. So if it's your first time watching this, or you just need a refresher, let's go over the rankings for the round. So first of all, if you had an excellent performance in round 1, you go in the excellent. That's the top category. Next one is contenders. So off that performance, you could see you contending for the flag. Decent, like it wasn't amazing, but you've done enough. You've got the win. Not even have got the win, but you've shown a bit like, yeah, you still could be a threat. Disappointing, you just didn't really putting a real disappointing performance. May have been that you went in the favourite and you got absolutely pants. But then the bottom one where you just didn't show up at all is 5 a.m. St Kilda Beach. So without further ado, let's get stuck into the first game of Gabba Round, which was Thursday night, Adelaide v Geelong at the Adelaide Oval. Let's get started into that right now. Let's go. Okay, so obviously Adelaide, Geelong, and it was Geelong who came home with a 19-point victory over the Adelaide Crows at the Adelaide Oval. And what a game this was. 15-10-100 Adelaide to Geelong's 18-11, 119. Fogarty for the Crows kicked 4, Keys kicked 3, Walker kicked 2, Ranking also kicked 2. Thilthorpe was held to just the 1 goal. Cameron kicked 4, Dangerfield being a real live wire down there also kicked 4, Close and Dempsey kicked 2. Crouch had 28 to go on with 11 clearances. Rankin had 25, 2 goals and 10 score on was exceptional. Hinge had 25 and 7 intercepts, probably become one of their better, their number one, I think, rebound defender off that back line. But I thought Wayne Malira, whichever way it's pronounced, also played a really good game too, had 23 touches himself. Bailey Smith, geez, what a start to the season he's having. Just reminding everyone, I'm one of them too. I think I kind of forgot how good he is, especially when you give him the exposure to play more midfield time. He runs all day, uses the ball well, but also hits the scoreboard. He had 35 to go on with a goal, 6 clearances, 9 scoring involvements, and 643 metres gain. Holmes played a bit more half back and had 32, a goal, 5 clearances, 7 tackles, 10 rebound 50s, 7 inside 50s, 2 goal assists, and 805 metres gain, showing why he's a dominant factor in this Geelong Cat side now. For some reason, I haven't put any talking points for this game, but what a game it was. Geelong, I didn't expect. I tipped Adelaide, especially the Adelaide Oval, but what a game it was to open it. And geez, isn't Dangerfield showing how dominant player he is up forward? He's a nightmare to match up on. You can chuck him in the midfield when you need him, but put him down forward, and he's got that body shape. You wouldn't want to be the one stuck on him. You nearly have to play a key defender on him, just how powerful he is. And the only one knock that he's always had on his career is his set shot. So he probably leaves a few in the tank than when he could have. Managed to still kick 4, but you'd prefer him on the run than having a set shot. Fogarty's another one is good, and Ben Keys is someone who I think is just the absolute live wire for the Adelaide Crows. Although he didn't get the victory, he's kicked another 3 and had about 20 disposals as well. I really like the way he's just a real goer, real hard at it, and he's really showing these last 2 seasons now playing as a predominant forward that he can hit the scoreboard consistently. But as if for the rankings, I'm going to have to go Adelaide. They've lost 2 in a row now, so I'm gonna have to go decent. I can't put him in contenders if they've dropped 2 in a row and 1 now being at home to open up Gabba Round. And Geelong, not going to quite put him in excellent, but I will put him in contenders. So we'll move over to the Friday night match now. Collingwood v the Sydney Swans, also at the Adelaide Oval, and it was the Pies who got the job done, 16-13, 109 to Sydney Swans is 12-6, 78. Jamie Elliott and Bobby Hill kicked 3 each, as well as Mycheck kicked 3, and McCleary kicked 2. For the Swans, you had Hayden McLean with 3, Corey Warner with 2, Heaney with 2, and a Hanley with 2. Nick Dacos had 34 to go on with 9 clearances, 9 tackles, and 7 score onwards. Ned Long had an absolute game and a half, real coming on to the scene for him, I think, and just a real masterclass. Just felt like he was everywhere. 29 disposals, 17 contested, 9 clearances, 6 tackles, 7 inside 50s, 10 score involvements, and 509 metres gained. And here's 2 players that are just still kicking on after being questioned with their age. Scott Pennebury being 36, still side bottom 34 I want to say. Let me just double check that. Still side bottom. Yeah, 34. They're just getting better road, starting with side bottom. He had 28, 5 tackles, 13 score involvements, and 555 metres gained. And Pennebury, 26, 6 clearances, and 8 tackles. Now, I gave him a bit of a baking last week in the preview episode to the Gabba round. Bahini did play exceptionally well. You've got to give credit when it's due. 27, 2 goals, 7 clearances, 9 inside 50s, 3 goals, 6 and 610 metres gained. Was without a doubt Sydney Swans' best player on the ground, but no one was really there to follow with him. We mentioned Ned Long turned it on, and what a masterclass that was. He just felt like he was everywhere. He was getting the ball inside because he's such a big body. He's so crucial for the Pies, I think, to have that big body around, because once he develops and gets more game time, hopefully he can be one of those ones that can take the load off Nick Dacos, so Nick Dacos doesn't have to go in and get his own ball. He can play a bit more on the outside and use his foot skills. Speaking of Nick Dacos, ran off the tag of James Jordan. James Jordan has had the better of him in the past, as James Jordan has had on many players. But Nick Dacos managed to run off him, getting 34, 9 clearances and 9 tackles. So well done to him there. I think Errol Goulden's the missing piece. I posted a video on this on Saturday on the Up the Guts Instagram and TikTok page. I believe, did I do a short? I think it went for a couple seconds too long to be a YouTube short. So I think Errol Goulden's the missing piece here. Just his running. He pretty much plays 100% just about every game. Runs hard, two-way runner. Uses the ball beautiful. What's the word I'm looking for? Uses the ball phenomenally. Gets, as I mentioned, two-way runner, but not only can he play in the wing, he can play inside. He gets back hard, pushes forward, hits the scoreboard, and he's just a missing target, because if it's not Heaney, who is it? Heaney's had a rough start to this season, I think, going by last season. Played really well on Friday night. Props to him. That's the Heaney that we know. Chad Warner's just going. Callum Mills yet to come back yet. So I don't know. I think Goulden, they're really struggling without Goulden. They don't know how to replace him. Darcy Cameron, 100th game. After playing 1 game at the Sydney Swans, and he's now played 99 games at Collingwood. I've gave him his props before of how highly I rate him as a ruckman in the competition. And this was actually Collingwood's 10th win at the Adelaide Oval, which is 10th win in a row at the Adelaide Oval, which is a nice stat. Sydney Swans, it wasn't a help that their key forward, Joel Martin, did go down with a hamstring though. As for the rankings, Collingwood, 1 second, guys. Can I put him in excellent? I think I can. But then I think I have to put Geelong in excellent as well. Just purely because if I'm putting Collingwood in excellent, I'm going to put them in this. And the Sydney Swans, if we move down here, Sydney Swans, what do I think of the Sydney? I think the Sydney Swans, I think they were disappointing. Tough call because it wasn't that big of a margin. 31 points is not amazing, but I thought they were a bit disappointing. I was hoping they'd come out and really respond. They've had some good clashes against Collingwood in the past. But yeah, I just thought they were really disappointing. Without Goulden, they have been disappointing. Moving on to the Saturday games, and the first game was North Melbourne v Gold Coast at Barossa Park. So the first game of the weekend at Barossa Park, and it was Gold Coast who got the job done by 52 points, 13-11, 189, defeated by 21-15, 141. That's a big problem, I think, for North Melbourne, letting big scores. They've done that a couple of times now, allowing big scores to be kicked on them. Larky kicked 2 for the Kangaroos. Curtis, Darling, Dersma, and Simpkin all kicked 2 as well. Ben King, what a start to the season he's having. He's kicked 5. Ben Long, one of the more underrated players in the competition at the moment, but I think he's starting to get his due wrapped as he's a top 10 rated player in the comp now. Kicked 3 again. Flanders kicked 2. Now we go to disposals. Caleb Daniel, 32 disposals at 88% efficiency, but just doesn't want to defend. So you can get your ball, but if you're not going to defend and allowing opposition to kick 21 goals and 141 points against you, what's the use of you doing down there? They can't be playing Caleb Daniel and Zach Fisher down there because they both don't defend. They're both just one-way runners and they're looking up the field and not wanting to play on a man. Cheezel, 27, a goal and 7 score involvements. And as we were talking about, Fisher, 27 disposals at 93% efficiency, 7 intercepts, 7 rebound 50s. Davies Uniacke, 26, 8 clearances, 8 inside 50s, and 564 metres gained. John Noble's really showing Collingwood what they're missing, I think. He had 28 again to go on with a goal, 7 score involvements, and 712 metres gained. Noah Anderson had 27, 6 clearances, 7 inside 50s, 2 goal assists, and 12 score involvements. Miller had 27, 1 goal, 5 clearances, and 11 score involvements. And Matty Rowell rounds it out with 26, 15 contested, 1 goal, 81% efficiency, 11 clearances, 7 tackles, and 14 score involvements, which is the biggest of his career by 3. Previous to that, his best score involvement game was 11. So he's not just getting the contested and the middle ball. He's also getting it forward and impacting the scoreboard with a goal himself, but also bringing others into the game. Ben King started the season strongly. As I mentioned, he's kicked 17 so far for the season. At the end, we'll go through the column meta race because there is a couple at the top. Gold Coast Storm time because at North were competitive for 2.5 quarters, I would say. I believe they led at one of the breaks at halftime. It was at least really close. North, as I mentioned, North had a better of the midfield battle in the first half, but Anderson, Miller, and Rowell lifted the Suns. Anderson had 13 in the third just, and Rowell had 10 including 5 clearances. Now, it's not out of question that Matt Rowell could be leading the Brownlow right now. And I've faced the question, if you had to pick anyone, if you were picking a midfield team, and a midfield, and you needed, you wanted a player, a centre clearance and stoppage player, and you just were allowed, say, one, and you needed one to be your main guy. Is Matt Rowell your guy? I think he might be the guy because he's consistently getting contested ball, knows how to get clearances, but he's also now adapted to his game, the score involvements pass. He's moving a lot better around the ground, I think, actually looking like he's spreading with some speed. So I think if you were starting a team from scratch and you wanted to build around one guy to be that contested bull who is the clearance guy, the one who gets in, gets his hands dirty, but can also get his own ball and impact the scoreboard, I think Matt Rowell at the moment would be your guy. Let me know what you think about that. But as for rankings, Gold Coast, excellent. There's no other spot to put him. And North Melbourne, I've got to put him in decent. I'm going to put him in decent because the first half they were having the upper hand there. Now we move over to the second game was Carlton v West Coast, and the Blues are finally on the board with a 71-point win over West Coast at the Adelaide Oval. 17-19, 121, defeated 6 goals, 14, 50. Corey Durden kicked a career best 4 goals. Cripps and Walsh both kicked 3. Curnow kicked 2. Ryan was the only multiple goal giver for the West Coast Eagles with 2. Leading disposals, we had George Hipwood, 39, 8 clearances, 7 inside 50s, and 14 score involvements. Walsh had 37 to go along with 3 goals, 5 clearances, and 13 score involvements. Chera had 27 to go along with 8 clearances, 5 tackles. And Sard had 25 at 84% efficiency and 7 inside 50s as well. Baker was the leading disposal getter for the West Coast Eagles, just with 23. They would dominate around the ball. But there was some sad news coming out of this game. Obviously, we knew it was Harry Mackay's return game. We saw how openly he spoke on the Ben and Harry podcast about his battles, and now he feels like he was ready to come back. And just in the first opening minutes of the game, he was subbed out with a concussion due to a head knock he got, and it was just literally within the first few minutes of the game. So that is not what we wanted to see. So it's going to set him back for another 12 days. Just hoping that it doesn't impact the way he's feeling as well. So thoughts go out to Harry Mackay, because I really wanted him to come into the side, and this was a game where he could have grabbed it by the scruff of the neck and really dominate against that West Coast backline, which Jesse Hogan had just kicked 9 against the previous week. So we know key forwards can really dominate them. Charlie Curnow cost himself a big bag, I think. He kicked 2 goals from 14 disposals and 9 marks. As I mentioned, West Coast Eagles defence is really lacking. You can really grab a hold of it. So any key forwards that from any team that come up against the West Coast Eagles would be licking their lips and grabbing on the opportunity to kick himself a big bag. Sam Walsh and George Hewett were enormous in the midfield. George Hewett, I would argue, is the best performed midfielder in the Carlton Football Club to start this season. Not last year's Brownlow medalist Paddy Cripps. It is George Hewett. Consistently putting up numbers, consistently getting clearances and using the ball really well. He's been a great pickup since coming across from the Sydney Swans a couple years back. And Sam Walsh, there's been questions around him, but I think he's answered them, albeit against West Coast Eagles. So we need to see him do it again. But that 3 goals was is so critical to the 37 disposals. Just show how much he dominated that game. Probably gets the best on ground. Not probably so. He does get the best on ground performance in that game. Mentioned Corey Durden, the career best 4, and they switched the magnets a little bit in the second half to Carlton. Cripps, they rested Cripps forward with a big lead they had. They had the luxury, is the word I'm looking for, of resting Patrick Cripps forward, obviously being the bigger height as well. Nearly plays a key tall or a third tall. So he opted to do that. And it allowed Jesse Motlop to come up into the midfield and spend some time. Motlop I thought he showed some quick feet going back and watching the mini. He showed some quick feet around the contest, and the ability to get out of tight spaces I thought was really impressive. He won 3 clearances of himself in the second half and finished with 17 disposals. So that's a really good one that they could possibly turn to when they need a bit of speed for that midfield, because I think that's something the Carlton I've mentioned previously really lack. As for the rankings, Carlton have to go in excellent for the dominant display and getting the first win on the board. And where are you, West Coast? 5 a.m. St Kilda Beach. That is absolutely appalling. Next game was Western Bulldogs v Brisbane at Norwood Oval, and it was a game of 2 halves, this one, and it was the Brisbane Lions who kept their undefeated streak alive, going 5-0, winning by 21 points, 14-13-97 to Brisbane's 18-10, 118. Norton kicked 3 for the Dogs. Darcy also kicked 2. Hipwood kicked 5. Logan Morris kicked 4. Bailey kicked 3. Rayner kicked 2 and Archie kicked 2. As for disposals, Ed Richards had 29 to go along with 8 clearances. Kennedy also had 27 to go along with a goal and 6 clearances. McCluggage had 32 to go along with 6 clearances, 6 tackles. Will Ashcroft had 31 to go along with 7 clearances. Neil had 28 to go along with 11 clearances. And Jasper Fletcher, someone who doesn't get talked about as much, was really good with 25 and 9 intercepts. Now, why I mentioned this was a game of 2 halves, they were down by 39 points at halftime. Chris Fagan's asked his team, he gave him an almighty spray by all reports. He asked his team to lift, but in particular, he turned to his big key forward, Eka, big Eric Hipwood. He said, we need you to lift if we are going to win this game. You are much better than this. Pull your finger out and lift. And Eric Hipwood, did he lift? He responded in a big way, kicking 5 goals in the second half and single-handedly, I think, swing the momentum of the game and won the game for the Brisbane Lions as they surged home in the second half. Obviously, well supported by Logan Morris in just his second year. It looks like he's going to be an absolute star, kicked 4 of his own. Brisbane Lions mounted on 14 goals in the second half. That is enormous. And it's a scary sight to see that they're still doing this while not being able to put 4 quarters of footy together as of yet. And they're still 5-0. Sam, as we mentioned, Bulldogs dominated the first half. Sam Darcy and Harris Andrews was battle was an interesting one and good. And Sam Darcy, with his inaccurate goal kicking, probably cost his chance of saying he unanimously got the chocolates. But he did finish with 2 goals, 3 from 16 disposals, 8 marks, and 12 score runs. So you can go either way, but probably Darcy. But it's a tough one as well. Bulldogs were struck with an injury early, so already one down when with James Harms forced out of the game with a foot injury in the first few minutes. So that was not a good start for the Bulldogs, but they did go on to dominate the first half, but they're less using that sub early meant they had more tight leads going in later into the game, as it was a hot weekend down in Gavaran, as it was in Adelaide, as it was in Melbourne as well. Zach Bailey has had some starts to the season. I swear he did this a couple of years ago as well, but every game this year so far, he's having like 20 and 3. It's absolutely enormous. The way he breaks his speed out of stoppages, and he's just so damaging in front of goal. But I'll be interested to see if he can keep this up, because if he can keep this up, there's no doubt. Bit of a stutter there. There's no doubt he's on All-Australian watch. If he can keep this up, that half-forward spot is his only, and it's just whoever gets the other half-forward spot, in my opinion. Then Saturday night, what a bit of a boring game this was, and some big questions happening down at the Melbourne Football Club, as Essendon got the job done over Melbourne by 39 points, 8-9-57 to 15-6-96. Fritsch and Pickett kicked 2. Menzies kicked 4. Hobbs and Caddy kicked 2. I've put the talking points on top of the disposals. We'll go to disposals. Petrarca had 27, 9 inside 50s. Langdon also had 25 at 88% efficiency, 12 marks and 7 intercepts. Zach Merritt is, along with Rao, probably the 2 leaders for the Brownlow medal at the moment. Had 37 to go along with 9 scorer runs, playing a bit more half forward as well. Shield, since moving back into the midfield at starting the season at half back, has been really good. He had 30, a goal and 7 clearances. Archie Roberts had the best game of his short career so far, of 28 and 6 tackles. Martin just does what Martin does, 28, 89% efficiency, a goal and 11 marks. Durham picked up where he left off last year, 28, 5 clearances, 8 inside 50s and 7 scoring enrollments. McGrath also had 26, 8 intercepts, and Jordan Riley, an absolute star down back. He's a big key pillar to their defence back there. Without Ridley, they look really lost. He had 26 at 88% efficiency and 9 marks. As I mentioned, if there wasn't already questions down at Melbourne, there will be, as of today, as I'm recording on Monday. They're 0-5. Like, with this list, there's no reason why they should be 0-5. They currently sit 17th, just above West Coast. West Coast, Melbourne and West Coast in the same conversation. That just doesn't sound right. So big changes need to happen down at Melbourne. The coaching staff clearly isn't getting it done. Do they need to get rid of some of these players? Do they really want to be there? I know they committed last year, but do they really want to be there? Because their actions on the field is just not showing it. So it's going to be big talks for this whole season, but right now it wouldn't be a happy place, I don't think, down in the Melbourne Football Club. It would be a frustrated place. Essendon Ruck, Nick Bryan, who I thought started this season off really well, playing the 1-2 punch of Sam Draper, spending a bit more time forward. Will be sent for scans after suffering a suspected season-ending knee injury. They expect that to be an ACL. Let me just do a quick Google search to see if it has been confirmed. Nick Bryan injury update. They just said they expect it to be an ACL. Yeah, so that would be his season ending, which is really very sad, because I thought he started off really well and they were working well together, him and Draper. Does Draper play as the one, or does Toddy Goldstein come back in? It'll be interesting to see there. We mentioned Merritt. But I don't mind Pickett in the midfield. He had 23 disposals going with 2 goals and 4 clearances. It's something that they lack, like Carlton, a bit of speed through there. So Cozzy Pickett getting up and around the ball, getting some more touches on it. He's electric, uses the ball well, but also hits the scoreboard. He's kind of like that Rankin type. So I really like the look at that. Now we move over to Sunday, and it was Richmond v Fremantle at Barossa Park, and it was the Dockers who got the job done by 61 points, 75-47 to 16-12, 108. Josh Tracy kicked 6. Michael Frederick kicked 3. Bolton, Young both kicked 2. Rioli was the only multiple goal kicker. Morris Rioli with 2. Disposals-wise, leading the way for the Tigers was Hopper with 33, 5 clearances and 5 tackles. Turner had 26 at 88% efficiency and 7 tackles. And Short had 25 at 80% efficiency, 8 marks and 8 rebound 50s. Brayshaw led the way for the Dockers with 30 at 83% efficiency, 6 clearances and 10 tackles. Sarong at 29 again with 6 clearances. And Chapman down back had 25 at 84% efficiency, 10 marks and 535 metres gain. Big Dick Tracy, as Triple M like to call it. Dick Tracy stars with 6 goals and sat a bit of the last quarter on the bench. So maybe left a few in the tank, but he had 3 in the first quarter and looked like he was having a big day. He's just got such good, strong hands and he's so accurate in front of goal. Love watching Tracy play. Luke Ryan was subbed out at 3/4 time due to a minor ongoing shoulder concern. So any Supercoach fans out there, that's a worrying sign as he gets plenty of it because he takes the kick out, uses the ball beautifully, intercepts, has been a beautiful player for the Freo Dockers for many years now. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on that. But with the more emergence of Jordan Clark getting coming across, obviously, from Geelong, but really starting to shine and down there. Would it be a bit... I think it still would be a big loss, but Luke Ryan hasn't started the season amazingly, but we know the caliber of player Luke Ryan is. Tom Lynch was also subbed out 3/4 time after failing a fitness test on a corky. He's a walking injury, this bloke. If he's not getting injured, he's getting suspended. And he's so... It's just a matter of fact. He needs to be on the park guiding this young Richmond Tigers team. That's all that matters. He needs to be the one taking the load off him, clunking the marks, kicking the goals, and guiding this team. But he's either injured or he's either suspended, so he's not much help there. Paddy Voss might be in trouble with the MRO for a late and high forearm to Nick Voston's head in the final minutes of the game. Voston left the ground with the blood rule. It was an interesting one. It was almost like he went to apply the pressure with a tackle, and then the forearms just slipped up high and absolutely caught him with a beauty. Left Voston dazed and was absolutely pouring out with blood. So it'd be interesting to see how the MROs see that one. And another thing we don't like to see, field umpire Paul Rashuni, sorry if I said his name wrong, was an unfortunate casualty late in the first quarter, suffering an accidental head clash with James Short, and he sat out the second half of the game. So it's not something we like to see umpires going down. But as terms of rankings, now that I'm looking at it, I didn't do my rankings for the Saturday night. So apologies for that. I jumped over that. But Melbourne, 5 a.m. St Kilda Beach, and Essendon contenders. And for Richmond and Fremantle, Richmond. Didn't expect much more than that, and they were in it at points and Fremantle ran away with it. So I'll put them as disappointing. Not quite 5 a.m. St Kilda Beach. As for Freo, I'll put them at contenders for now. The penultimate game of Gabba round was the St Kilda v GWS at Norwood Oval, and it was the Giants getting the job done by 28 points, 12-10-82, defeated by 16 goals, 14-110. Cooper Sharman and Wangani Malira kicked 3. And Higgins kicked 2. Green for the Giants kicked 5. Toby Green, Stringer, Cadman, and Hogan all kicked 2. Sinclair led the way for the disposals of the Saints with 26, a goal, 5 tackles, and 542 metres gain. Winhager had 25. Wangani Malira also had 24 to go on with 3 goals. So hitting the scoreboard, getting a bit higher up the ground, which is good to see, using his damaging foot, and as well as 673 metres gain. Lockie Ash, what a start to the season he's having here. 33 at 94% efficiency, 9 marked and 8 rebound 50s, 563 metres gain. Kelly had 28, 15 contested, 5 tackles. Tom Green had 28, 9 clearances, 6 tackles and 9 scoring moments. Callum Waugh was exceptional, 27 to 85% efficiency, a goal, 9 marks and 7 goals. It was actually a really close game going into the halftime, and then the Giants just flicked the switch, led by their skipper Toby Green. He kicked 2 in the third quarter, I believe, in quick succession. It was 2 or maybe 3. He had 2 at halftime, but they kicked 8 goals in the third quarter, really putting a stamp on the game. As I mentioned, Green led the way with 5 goals to put an end to the Saints' 3 straight wins. So it'd been a good run. Saints had shown some promises that not many people were expecting the Saints to do it. It's a long season, but they come up against a Giants team who I think will be there if not in the very deep in September. Jake Stringer kicked his first 2 goals for the club, so that was good to see. We mentioned Lockie Atch provided plenty of drive off halfback. He's having an exceptional start to the season. The champion data rankings had him as a top 10 player in the competition, so he's just proving what an asset he is, and I believe he's only 23 years of age. So they love the ball in his hands, and why not when you're going at 94% efficiency from 33 disposals. Jack McRae caught the tag of Toby Bedford, and Bedford got the chocolates, keeping McRae to 17 disposals. He did have 6 clearances, but where you stop McRae is but not letting him get over 25, 30. That's when McRae is at his best. If you're keeping him to 17 disposals and 6 clearances, that's okay. So as for rankings, St Kilda can go in decent, and the Giants can go in excellent, just for the fact how much they can, whenever they feel like it, they can go, whoops, flick the switch, and the game is theirs. I didn't do my Brisbane and Bulldogs one as well. So Brisbane can go, they have to go in excellent purely for the fact that they're 5-0, but the Bulldogs can go in decent. Sorry, I've just got so invested in talking about it, but the last game of the round, and what a build-up to this game it was, but it was Port Adelaide who got the chocolates again over Hawthorn. 18-13 and 121, defeated 24-7-91. Georgiades, Rioli goal kicked 3. Rosie, Mead, Pau Pepper, and Joe Richards kicked 2. Dunstan was really good with 6. Sicily with 2, and Meek with 2. Butters was just enormous, 33, 8 clearances, 4 goal assists, and 11 score moments. Horn Francis had 29, 7 clearances, 8 inside 50s, and 637 metres gain. Rosie had 28, 2 goals, 8 intercepts. Wines had 26, 5 clearances and 6 tackles. And Drew had 26, 18 of them contested. That is huge. A goal and 8 clearances. Leading the way for the Hawks was Jai Newcomb with 29, a goal, 8 clearances and 7 score goals. Port Adelaide made a statement, kicking 6 goals in the first quarter. The Hawks has won. And by quarter time, the game was game, set, match over. It was over. The way they came out like that, and the Hawks were shocked, I think. They weren't ready for them to be jumped like that. And the Port Adelaide did exactly what they needed to do. I think it was time, it's harsh to sound, Hawks needed to lose one soon, because I feel like they need to get, not necessarily put in their place, but they need to know, okay, this is where we need to be at if we want to be at top teams. We can't just keep going. We can't win everything is what I'm trying to say. And when the game was there to be won, they just didn't show up. It's just as simple as that. They got beaten around the ball. The midfield looked shocking. Butters and Horn Francis rang wins around them. Connor Rosie made a move to halfback and looked exceptional. Played a bit of halfback through his national championship under 18s year, but he looked exceptional. Injuries, though, we had Bergman with a left knee and Nash with a left wrist and a hand. And there was spot fires everywhere that on the ground. We had Watson and Butters. It was everywhere. There was no love lost doing there. Rosie said it wasn't spoken about, this rivalry, in a post-game interview anytime during the week. And then it cuts to Zach Butters saying, fuck these. Put the you can fill in the blanks there. But, it was just a magnificent performance by Port Adelaide. So I'll put him in excellent, and I'll put Hawks in disappointing just for the fact they didn't show up for the moment. Will Day is not he's a big loss, don't get me wrong, but he's not someone who's going to turn that, although it was only 30 points, it should have been much more than that, because Hawks did try to make a surge late, but he's not going to be the reason to turn that big margin the way Port Adelaide dominated around. All right, so there's my review of Gavaran. Let's quickly go over what I had the rankings. So in the excellent column, I got Collingwood, Geelong, Gold Coast, Carlton, GWS, Brisbane, and Port Adelaide. Contenders, I got Essendon and Fremantle. Decent, got the Adelaide Crows, North Melbourne, St Kilda, and Western Bulldogs. Disappointing, I got Sydney Swans, Richmond, and the Hawks. 5am St Kilda Beach, I've got Melbourne and the West Coast Eagles. All right, now let's have a look at how we went with our Supercoach. And the DPP has been BP's been announced, so make sure you go check that to have a look what type of players you want to be targeting, because people, I know rankings become a mid-forward, so it's something you could possibly look at. But game day, let's have a look how the Up the Guts comp went. See all matches. So myself scored 2,037. I was defeated by Riley's Wizard, who got 2,268. Connor's dad Kisser got the job done over Dylan's Churches of Parish. 2,205 to 2,142. Excuse me. Chris's Ginnivan and Tonic 2,344 defeated Breeze's Sinclair 2,193. Jamie's Bailey Sniff 2,193 defeated Will's Hot Tort 1,911. Joel's Pint of Guinea 2,117 defeated Aiden's Max Zerrett 2,099. Zach's In It to Win It 2,104 was defeated by his brother, his younger brother, Mavs team by 2,193. And Paul's Dallas Domination 2,026 was defeated by Luke's Newcomb 23 2,209. So let's have a look at the rankings as we have a look. We go there, go here. All right, let's lead out the leaderboard. So the top of the ladder, we got Jamie's Bailey Sniff. Second place, Luke's Newcomb 23. Third place, Connor with Dad Kisser. Fourth place, Riley with Wizard. Fifth place, Zach In It to Win It. Sixth place, Chris Ginnivan and Tonic. Seventh place, myself. Eighth place, Mavericks Mavs team. Ninth place, Joel's Pint of Guinea. 10th place, Dylan's Churches of Parish. 11th place, Aiden's Max Zerrett. 12th place, Will's Hock Tour. 13th place, Breeze's Sinclair. And 14th place, Paul's Dallas Domination. So Breeze and Paul are yet to register a win yet. And the highest scorer for this round, I myself got it last round. I have to go check if it's, I don't think it's the highest scoring round, as in taking the chocolates, but I'll have that in the review preview one. I'll go over that. But if we go back to game day, the highest scoring player was... I'm in the wrong league. Highest scoring player was... Chris's Ginnivan and Tonic were 2,344. So I've just got to check if that's... I'll see. I've got it on a table to see that's the lead. But now let's go have a look at the ESPN footy tipping. Let's have a look at the leaderboard. I myself got 7 correct. Now let's have a look at the leaderboard. Top of the ladder, Chris has jumped to the top. Corey in second. Fight Your Mate's Dad in third. Glenn in fourth. Wendy in fifth. Dos Miller in sixth. He's moved up from a spot. Hodgie's moved up to seventh. Zach's moved down to eighth. Elaine's moved up to ninth. JD Hawks fan has stayed at 10th. Logan Mate has moved up to 11th. Della has moved down to 12th. I've stayed at 13th. Tommy Sins has moved down to 14th. Bassie's moved up to 15th. Big Pistol has moved down to 16th. And Connor has stayed at 17th. So Chris and Corey are both on 36. And followed directly by Will, Fight Your Mate's Dad, on 35. Well, there you have it, guys. There is my review of Gather Round. Make sure to stay tuned for Wednesday. It'll be Wednesday or Thursday morning. Wednesday night will probably when the audio comes out, but the video might come out Thursday morning. But where I'll do my preview for the upcoming round. But thank you guys for listening. As always, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to hit the like this video, leave a comment on it. Hit the subscribe button and turn the notification bell on. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, exactly the same. You can leave a comment, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss an upload. Hit that follow button. But most importantly, please leave a 5-star rating. It's what helps gets the show out there. Thank you guys for listening. And until next time, I'll see you guys then.